Good morning or good afternoon or evening. Thanks for joining us for this Esri AEC Community call. We've got a very informative session planned. We're going to take a few minutes on some AEC community information topics, then we'll jump into the main topic of the day, the Esri User Conference. In that part, we'll review the offerings of this year's conference. We'll highlight a number of sessions and give you a jump start to a really great virtual UC experience. We've got quite a showing across the globe. There's over 1,100 registrants for this webinar series now. You can see we've got some coverage from about every corner of the globe and some areas that look like they might even be a little wet. I'm Mark Goldman. I'm the Director of AEC Industry Solutions at Esri. I come with a long background in the AEC industry, technology, solutions development, and marketing. With me today is Laurence Latrico. Laurence, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm leading marketing programs here at Esri for AEC. Thanks for joining us today.
So we're going to take a couple minutes, like I said, on some AEC community information topics. Then we're going to jump into the conference itself. We're going to cover quite a bit today, highlight a number of sessions. Really, our goal is to give you a jump start on this first virtual UC. So as we introduced in the last webinar, we've created this community survey. The idea is to collect information from you, our community members. Then we want to deliver that information back to you so you can interact with each other. So you could find professionals who might have a skill that you need an expertise in, or maybe you've got an expertise that you want to promote and just get it out there through another tool. So if you snap a picture of that QR code, you can fill in the survey on your form or jot down that URL on screen. It's got a couple demographics questions and then a couple of questions gauging your area of expertise and your area of interest. And then we'll post a link to the collected data in the form of a map.
Here's the link. We've got currently 89 people who filled the survey from the last webinar, and here's the map that we created. We've got people who introduce themselves, put information about the products that they have knowledge of and they would like to share with the community. And when you click on a dot, you've got here, for example, one of our presenters that introduced himself. You can click the contact me via email link to send him an email. And some of the members also attach their picture. We sent the very first Esri News for AEC newsletter the week before last. If you haven't received it, here's the link for you to subscribe. And we'll be publishing the newsletter quarterly. It's currently posted to GeoEvent. It's still time to subscribe and receive the current newsletter. The next one will be coming out in September.
It was full of information. I was really excited when that came out, and we got really great compliments across the board on all the different topics that we put out in that newsletter. So if you got it and didn't read it, take some time, and if you haven't, please sign up for it. All right, so the topic of the day, the topic of the season, I guess, is the Esri User Conference. It's virtual this year. If you haven't registered yet, please do, esri.com/UC, and there will be a registration button up on the upper right corner. Our latest registration numbers, you were pulling the numbers today, Laurence? What are we up to?
We have 43,282 people registered from all over the world to attend the virtual user conference, and we currently have 933 people that identify themselves with the AEC industry. So great numbers.
Great numbers, yeah. It's more than twice already the number of people who would show up in San Diego. And as we expected, by going virtual and removing the cost and the challenges of travel, especially these days, we've got 2x registration. And then on AEC, I think that we were, at 200 or 300 maybe last year, and now we're going to top 1,000. So that's great. If you have not registered, like I said, go to esri.com/UC, and there's a registration button. There's 3 options to register. I'm going to guess most everyone, in our little circle here will opt for full conference, but you do have the option to register as a student or just for the plenary if that's really all you think you're going to be able to take advantage of. The all access gets you the full conference. If you're current on your maintenance plan or subscription, including users with ArcGIS for personal use licenses, distributors and partners, all access is what you would want. For students, you'll get access to the conference if you're a current student or a 2020 graduate. Access to the expo and the Esri showcase does require you to be an Esri customer. And then the plenary session only, that access is complimentary for everyone. Esri customers who are not up to date on their maintenance plan or subscription, as well as prospective customers, friends and family, reach out and get your whole community connected to understand what Esri is all about, what the UC is about through the plenary sessions. So once you are registered and logged in, you're going to be able to interact with us and others at the user conference through these channels. These will be presented in the user interface of the virtual UC, allowing you to drill through to the recorded plenary sessions. Eventually, they're initially live, the map gallery, which is always a draw. And we're going to get into these topics one by one. And just jump into the plenary. The UC wouldn't be the UC without a great plenary. And this UC is taking the challenge of conducting virtually, in a different manner. It's taking that challenge on, and it's going to be great. It's going to take place each morning this year. So instead of just the intro plenary for a day, I've decided to break it out onto Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are 10 a.m. Pacific time. Be sure to dial in. I think you'll be moved by the inspiring stories that are coming together. You'll learn about new technology. The fact that it's 3 days of sessions allows you to listen in, maybe think about topics throughout the day, and come back the next day for another plenary session. The theme of the conference, GIS, Interconnecting Our World. I think now more than ever, it's really just going to be full of timely examples and great stories. Technical sessions, there's nearly 120. These are just a few that I'm planning on carving out time to watch. My interests are around BIM and BIM applications and reality capture. So I've carved these out going up to the agenda site on the Esri UC page, doing some searching for some keywords. And these are some that I'm carving out, just making sure that I'm going to be listening on. And these are technical live sessions, or recorded but broadcast at specific times. There will be 35 special interest groups all in one day at the user conference. The architecture, engineering, and construction one, I think, is the most important, though, at least for me. This is going to be really good for us. We're going to have a chance for us to present, us being Esri, myself, product professional services, our sales engineer. We're going to present out to you just for a few minutes. We'll talk about the SAG Award winner. That'll be announced. But then we're going to hold a panel discussion amongst Hazen and Sawyer, Wade and Trim, and Arcadis, talking about the importance of location, specifically how location is the building block for innovation in AEC. These three firms are doing some great innovative things, and we'll have a fun panel discussion at that SIG. Don't miss that. That's going to be 10:30 to 11:30 again Pacific time on Thursday. And user presentations. Laurence, do you want to take it from here?
Yes, thank you, Mark. We received many abstracts for the user conference, and 11 were selected for presentation. Now that the conference is virtual, the presenters recorded their 20-minute presentation, and they are here today to give you a 2-minute overview. So joining us today are Teresa from Colorado, Matthieu from France, Carla from Ontario, Joel from Virginia, Sarah from North Carolina, Chris from Texas, Kourosh from California, Chuck from New York, Michael from Michigan, and Frederic from France. We've got Darren and Ian also selected to present, but they had a scheduling conflict and can't make it today. So let's turn it over to Teresa.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm Teresa Smithson. I'm a GIS professional and a professional land surveyor with Jacobs Engineering Group. My presentation is about making organizational knowledge centrally available in real time so that your team can work more efficiently and with less risk and better decision making. Now, what this is going to look like is, say, making the most current engineering design drawings available for security planning, updating O&M's field assessments daily for engineering consideration, and selecting interagency agreements and plan sets and putting them by location into your map. The culture at Regional Transportation District in Denver is making these changes, and their journey was a bold idea for advancing how a transit organization can work. They're transforming their large organization to a collaborative, integrated team and sharing knowledge through the geographic information system. So I'm hoping that people will join us and see what RTD has done to tear down silos and bridge the gap through visualization and make a more efficient, streamlined, single organization with a single source of truth.
Thank you, Teresa. Our next speaker is joining us from Toulouse in the south of France. Here you go, Matthieu.
Hi everyone, Matthieu Muller speaking, IT developer in BIM and GIS at Egis. In my presentation, I will be talking about a project Egis has been working on for the past few months, which is a BIM-GIS integration based on the reconfiguration of a part of Monaco's border area. I will tackle in this BIM-GIS integration by breaking down the advanced and innovative processes we have put together to solve these complex system interactions. The presentation will cover several technical topics that you may have wondered about in the past, such as data aggregation, BIM models, electronic document management system, project management software, which is the fourth dimension in AEC project, and how all these information systems can be integrated in a GIS environment, and more specifically with a web scene on our ArcGIS portal. I will expand on this topic on how this integration can be automated in order for us not to have to worry about it, and having an up-to-date WebGIS on our ArcGIS portal, especially while other components such as BIM and 4D data are moving forward, so the production pipeline are moving forward. And to conclude the presentation, I will also cover topics that we intend to implement for our clients, which are City Engine and virtual reality, and how we have experimented with them so far without implementing them on our project production pipeline. And all in all, if you want to remember broad keywords about this presentation, we will be dealing with digital transition, GIS, BIM, 4D, virtual reality, automation, and how we bind all these systems together.
Quite a few topics there. Thank you very much, Matthieu. Let's switch to Carla, joining us from Ontario, Canada.
Hi, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank Esri for inviting us here today to do a quick introduction. My name is Carla Evans, and I'm a senior GIS analyst with Golder. At this year's Esri UC, I will be presenting on monitoring the health of an electric tunnel scheme using a program we developed to manage technical instruments, ArcGIS, GeoEvent, and Operations Dashboard. Some background on the project: in 2011, a portion of a hydroelectric scheme tunnel collapsed, and Golder was brought in to help design a 530-meter bypass tunnel. And since 2014, we've assisted in collecting, managing, and analyzing the geotechnical instruments that have been installed. Recently, to support this project, we started looking at how we could enrich the geotechnical data being collected using some of the Esri apps. So the key project objectives that they were trying to achieve were early detection of any significant changes in the tunnel conditions, monitoring instruments to provide management, owners, and stakeholders ongoing confidence that the tunnel is in known and safe condition, and then also to support field inspections and to help with planning for maintenance with non-functional instruments. With the limited ways to automate, visualize, and get answers into the hands of the people who require them, we started to investigate how we could leverage this near real-time geotechnical data being collected. And for this project, we used obviously ArcGIS Online and Portal, GeoEvent, Operations Dashboard, and Hub. And we look forward to you guys enjoying it, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Carla. Next presenter is Joel, joining us from Virginia.
Hello, Lawrence, and thank you for inviting us to address the group today. My name is Joel Carter. I'm a senior software engineer in the GIS and asset management practice group at the infrastructure division at Cardno. For those of you not familiar with Cardno, it's an international AEC firm that's headquartered in Australia. I work for a group that's based out of the Tampa Bay area in Florida, and we do a lot of different services, and some of them are, of course, related to GIS. And for our presentation, Evolving Mobile Field Inspection, ArcPad to Collector and Beyond, we go over the highlights from over 8 years on a wide-scale data collection project that we've been administering for a couple of different customers. We wanted to go over this as a case study specifically because, you know, every project is different and there's different technical solutions involved. And we wanted to highlight some best of breed methods that we came up with using Esri technologies, specifically how we started off many years ago with ArcPad, and that eventually evolved into what is now turning into a Survey 123 based approach. And some of our main goals in these processes were to, of course, reduce the QC effort and shorten the window to receive updates that were being collected in the field. We also wanted to be able to include non-GIS staff in reviewing and approving changes before making them part of the official GIS master record. We also wanted to be able to support historical views of inventory results, and we wanted to be able to improve integration with external devices and systems. So we always approach our data collection methods as looking at the best tools for the job at the time, and of course, wanting to stay as tightly integrated within one platform as possible. So we show some key highlights through this presentation, how the one particular process evolved and how we are taking advantage of the new Esri products that are coming out and extending them to be able to meet that particular project's needs.
Thank you very much, Joel. Let's switch to a presentation from Jacobs. We've got Sarah joining us today. Jacob Raymond, her co-presenter, is based near Calgary in Alberta, Canada, but he couldn't make the call today. So here you go, Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks for having us again. Jacob and I are going to be presenting on highly available ESRI enterprise implementation along with data center migration and systems integration. That's a lot to fit in 20 minutes, but we're going to talk a little bit about the process that we went through to stand that up for our company. And I think it's a really great opportunity to see what other folks are doing in this space. A lot of times it happens behind the scenes and our GIS personnel aren't as involved as maybe the IT sector of your company. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. I think it's really interesting information just to see what other people are doing. Specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about our challenge in standing up the geospatial infrastructure, as well as where we started with that enterprise implementation. We're an extremely large firm and we have periodic acquisitions, and we need to integrate those folks into our business as quickly as possible. We'll talk a little bit about our roadmap for centralizing infrastructure to support our GIS professionals and enterprise users, as well as our ArcGIS online users, and go over some of the building of our solution, how we leverage ESRI professional services, and some scripting solutions to use our resources more efficiently, and to talk a little bit about our migration process. So there's a lot in there, and I hope you can join us.
Thank you very much. Our next presenter is Chris Akin, and he's connecting from Texas. Take it away, Chris.
Hi. So I appreciate you letting me join today. At the UC, I'm going to be talking about geospatially-enabled quality control of Texas's first reservoir in 30 years. Dunaway is a Esri business partner with an ArcGIS Online Specialty certification. We offer a full suite of services, including civil engineering and survey, based out of Texas. The reservoirs in Texas have had a surge in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, but really slowed down due to some permitting and site availability. But the growth in Texas has really taken off over the last decade or two. We've continued to experience a lot of people moving here for their companies or other reasons. And because of that, the demand on water has continued to increase. So the reservoir is being built. It's for the Lower Bodark Lake Reservoir. And Dunaway became involved in this project, working with the geotechnical firm to map out testing of their locations of a dam that is 2 miles long and 90 feet tall. And we are utilizing the Esri ArcGIS Online solution, the AEC project delivery, as well as related tables in order to map those locations as they're collected from the field and provide real-time information to key stakeholders throughout this process to be able to document those report locations and to be able to maintain that information going forward should any events or issues occur. So my presentation will be walking through the history of the need for that, as well as the execution of the process and how we utilized all of that, as well as then automating the process to keep it moving. So I hope you can join and see you at the presentation.
Thank you, Chris. The next presentation is from Kourosh from Caltrans, and he's joining us from Northern California.
Thank you, Lawrence. Again, thanks, Esri, for giving us the opportunity to share with the folks about the upcoming presentation at the Esri conference. I'm a civil engineer with California Department of Transportation, and the goal of my presentation is discussing new project delivery workflow for horizontal BIM. As you know, in the industry, the vertical construction industry has adopted BIM utilizing Revit for past 20 years, and they're very well established in it. But when it comes to horizontal infrastructure projects, there's still a lot of gaps in an integrated solution. So one of the goals of my presentation is to dive into that and showcase that. This particular project is for San Mateo County, Route 101. If you've traveled to Bay Area, I'm sure as you come out of SFO, the first freeway you come across, that's San Mateo 101. This project is about 20 miles long, and we utilize ArcGIS platforms, ArcGIS Pro, ArcGIS Scene, ArcCatalog, and WebScene to demonstrate a horizontal BIM approach utilizing these platforms. In particular, I'm going to be discussing a digital terrain model and digital design model and bringing those information from CAD environment into GIS environment by using different type of feature classes, geodatabases, and TIN models within the GIS environment. Looking forward to showcase this technology and show integrated virtual design construction utilizing GIS platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next presenter is based in New York. Chuck is actually on vacation, but did us the favor to join us today. Go ahead.
Thank you, Lawrence. Not a problem today. Hello, everyone. My presentation is really focused around the software development as a result between the relationship between Autodesk and Esri. I work for CNS companies based in Syracuse, New York, a multidisciplined engineering firm. Spend a lot of our efforts in the aviation sector. This presentation is centered around an aviation project, and it's a situation where the products being used are both on the Esri side and the Autodesk side. So a lot of the pre-design is being done in Autodesk InfraWorks, and the design tool would probably be Civil 3D for the most part in this product, but you have a large GIS component. So we are using connector for ArcGIS, the ArcGIS connector for Civil 3D, the ArcGIS connector for InfraWorks to obtain data from Portal and online and bring it into the project and be able to also have this project participate in a much larger project that's in BIM 360. So the two upper level worlds would be BIM 360 and ArcGIS Portal, and all the tools involved with doing that, including the collector app and so forth. So it's about workflow, and it's about the need for a different way of looking at things now when we're working on our projects that involve a very large CAD component and a very significant GIS component.
Thank you very much, Chuck. Our next presenter is joining us from Michigan.
I'm looking forward to Chuck's talk, man. It sounds really good. I spent a lot of time in CAD and GIS. I'm a geologist with GZA, and I do a lot of different GIS, CAD, and 3D modeling work. But for my talk with the user conference, I'm talking about how we use mobile data collection for construction quality control. So typically behind these big construction projects is the seemingly invisible data that gets collected in construction quality control, where you have field engineers that collect soil or subsurface data to ensure subgrades and the earthwork is safe to go ahead and build on. And this data that's collected is traditionally put into a field notebook or on some field sheets and filed away into a cabinet and put into a data table maybe and forgotten about. But during the scoping of this project, we recognize that tailings ponds, we do these types of designs and they're typically high risk, so we wanted to capture that QC data in a better way. So we leveraged our ArcGIS Enterprise platform and Esri's collector app to collect spatially controlled compaction testing data that then later was brought into a web app, and using ArcGIS portal was able to create the space for stakeholders, clients, engineers, and contractors to kind of gather around and watch the construction progress in front of them, and sort of with the QC data at the center of that. So that happened kind of near real time, helping all the stakeholders create actionable data with Esri products. And I'm looking forward to looking at all these other AEC talks. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Our next presenter is also joining us from Toulouse in France. Go ahead, Frederic.
All right. So I'm going to present a project that we've been working on for the past 1.5 years, which is an ongoing project for a duration of 6 years in France, which is to use a 5D WebGIS portal that we are using for an urban renewal management project. So we've got a very large project that is going on in the city of Angers in France, which is on the Loire Valley. And over there, we've got that project, which is rehabilitation of 2 major areas for a value of 400 million euros, reconstruction, demolition. And as you can imagine, it's quite complicated in terms of workflow to know what is going on in a certain area. We've got 700 projects or sub-projects that are running in parallel or in cascade in that area. So we are using the WebGIS portal along, which is interesting, some planning tools. In our example, we're using MS Project, and that we are connecting to our GIS database. And interestingly enough, we can view the information on the map about the projects that are delayed. And what is interesting in all this is that what we usually see in Gantt projects as clashes do not reflect mandatorily what's happening on the ground. We don't identify the spatial clashes. The GIS is allowing us to see what the Gantt charts have not identified for us. So this is a terrible tool. The client is extremely interested in visualizing what is going on for his project and where things are happening, being able to view the budget that is allocated to certain areas, to see the overall information about planning and the construction is a major interest for the client. So that's about it. I hope that you will come and join us during the presentation.
Thank you very much. We had another presentation selected for the user conference that was to be presented by Darren and Ian with HNTB. They had a scheduling conflict, so they couldn't join us today. But keep in mind their presentation related to project delivery.
What a lineup we've got. That's just great. I'm excited to add all of these to my calendar and figure out a time to listen to all these presentations. Great topics. In addition, there's a couple of other on-demand sessions I want to point out here. Our own sales engineers, they've put together 2 recorded sessions, one on BIM and GIS, innovation in engineering and delivery, and then one on AEC project delivery subscription, which is a very popular solution right now that I know a lot of firms are signing up for and using as a way to deliver their services in generating new revenues. And then there's the Expo. So, you know, the Partner Expo, and as we showcase, it typically is very well regarded. Year after year, it's where attendees meet each other, where they network, where they discover new technologies, and hopefully find solutions to the problems that they came to the UC perhaps to solve. Turning it into a digital forum, it certainly has been a challenge for the team. The number of folks who are involved in this across Esri is astounding, and the work that's come together. We won't be showing you any kind of a preview today. We're just going to be talking high level. But I think that you're going to find a lot of benefits to the Expo now. The fact that it's 24/7 means that, you know, throughout the conference hours, anyone around the world with the full conference registration can visit at convenient times to find information they're looking for. Ourselves, our partners, we're going to be staffing the Expo area, total of about 17.5 hours over the 3 days. and you'll be able to interact with, chat with, face-to-face meetings can be scheduled. Folks around the globe. We're actually going to have an Asia Pacific team on standby to help with scheduling, and we'll be able to working on ways to facilitate meetings to meet those hours as well. The showcase itself, within the expo, there are a number of showcases. The AEC team, we have our own showcase. Within there, you'll find the opportunity and mechanisms to chat with us directly. So several folks from the AEC team will be in a chat area, ready to answer your questions and direct you to folks who might have a better answer than us at the time. So just like at a conference, we'll be pulling in people to help get questions answered. If you want to set up a specific meeting with a specific person at a certain time, there's a mechanism for doing that. We provide shortcuts to sessions that we think are outstanding, or topics and resources that we want to point you to, including story maps that are going to be full of resources, or some of the pre-recorded sessions. So lots of information specifically at the AEC showcase that we want you to go to. And we're one of those groups within Esri that crosses a lot of lines as far as working with other sectors, working with product teams quite closely. So just a few areas, a few other showcases within the Esri showcase to keep your eye out for: the transportation group, certainly smart cities and utilities. All of those topics essentially were brought up in the 11 topics that were just discussed one way or another. BIM and GIS, certainly it's going to have its own showcase with product integrations and product experts ready to talk. And I also suggest ArcGIS indoors and urban. Again, just knowing these are products that are pertinent and of interest to AEC professionals. I've been talking with the product managers, I've been talking with the product marketers for these AEC related products. I know they've got a lot to show. They're really eager to engage with you at their showcases. At a typical user conference, they pull you aside and ask you questions that might help with our messaging or our marketing or help influence product directions. Want to be able to take advantage of that same thing. So make sure you make your way over to the product showcases as well as the AEC showcase. There's also a UC product survey that goes out every year. That went out about a month or so ago, I guess it was. I remember the email. The feedback from that comes together to become a Q&A. In that user conference Q&A, a number of topics are explored. As I mentioned early on, the theme of the UC this year is GIS, and we're connecting our world. There's a whole write-up on what that means, and you can assume that that theme is going to work its way through presentation. So getting a little bit of a background on that can help. There's also what to expect to see in the plenary sessions. And like I said, they're stretched over 3 days, and maybe your schedule doesn't allow you to do all three. Get a little bit of background on which ones those are and see if you can carve out time on all 3 days. You want to make the most of the user conference. Hopefully we're helping you here with that, but there's many other topics and things you might want to drill into. Those are presented in this UC Q&A. Certainly there's changes this year going virtual, so there's some help navigating the changes from physical to virtual. The big ideas that are going to be explored at the UC, what should you perhaps dive into to become familiar with? What topics are you going to start hearing about that you could maybe just feed your head a little bit before diving in and hearing a plenary on a particular topic? And then if there's educators, there actually is a conference session specifically for educators called out. And GeoNet, Laurence, you want to talk a minute here?
Yes, we will be posting the Esri Community webinar recordings to GeoNet, also posting announcements, blogs. So look for the AEC place on GeoNet, follow the group, and you will receive email notifications when new content is posted. And you should have received an email today about the Esri UC Q&A. I'll also post a link to the Q&A page on the Esri conference website.
Connect with us. We are quite active on LinkedIn. There's an Esri AEC user group as well on LinkedIn. So we really want you to get connected to that user group so that we can have these more private communications. There's a lot of messaging that goes on in there and information that gets shared. It is a closed group. There's also Twitter. If you have not yet followed us on Twitter, please do. There we're getting more and more activity. I think we've almost doubled our followers in the last month. A lot of just pertinent, timely, topical information is getting shared through that channel as well. And we're getting great feedback from folks thanking us for what we're sharing. When you see us share, please reshare, retweet. Just kind of builds out our ecosystem. More the merrier on these topics. We encourage you to look for our messages and share our messages and chime in and add your 2 cents and thoughts on the topics that we're sharing through social media. And with that, going to thank you for your time today and encourage you to reach out to us if you do have any questions. We are aecinfo@esri.com. You probably also have a direct contact with your account manager. We're always trying to hear from you, so don't hesitate. Have a great user conference if we don't connect with you before then, and a great day and great rest of your week.
Thanks to our presenters. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.